Welcome back, friends! The final tool you'll learn during this level is the most advanced of them so far. In this video, you'll learn about rhythm in drawing and how it can help you improve your drawings. Rhythm is usually associated with music, but it can also be found in other types of art, like drawing. Rhythm is the expression of the connections between things. It's how one line leads into another. Drawing the rhythm will help you express harmony and movement. You can think about it as the movement between the lines. I say that this is the most advanced tool so far because you'll need to be able to see the structure of your drawing in your mind's eye. You'll need to be able to see the shapes and the angles without drawing them, but use this structure in your mind to find the rhythm. To draw the rhythm, you'll need all the practice that you've gone through during this course. All of the exercises you've done have helped you understand and see your references better. You need to draw assertive lines that describe the shapes you see in your reference. Let's take this reference as an example. You can start by finding the lines of action. Then use a circle to determine where her head is. After that, start drawing assertive and quick lines that help you define the movement in the pose. Don't stop for the details. You're just trying to capture the movement. It doesn't matter if the lines don't end exactly where they're supposed to end. It just matters that you're drawing confident lines. This tool will help you step into your artistic impression. You can always work to make the most realistic drawing ever made. However, I find it way more fun to make realistic, imperfect drawings. They do look a lot like your reference, but there's no need to copy everything perfectly. It's okay to let loose and have fun. Doing this can help you find yourself in your drawing and allow you to discover your own style. Let's try with another reference and practice how to draw the movement. You could technically just measure the angles and find the parts of the body, but this drawing might be a bit stiff. So you can start by finding the line of action. You can see here that I practiced the line before I make the mark. During this exercise, every line should serve a purpose. So take your time to analyze your reference and practice the movement before you lay down the lines. But if you make a mistake or don't like a line, don't worry about it. You can always try again. And the more you practice this, the easier and easier it will be. You can continue to use the other tools you've learned so far to build your sketch. So you can make an oval for the head and break the rest of the body into quick basic shapes. Make sure to check and double check the elements. By measuring the angles, I see that the foot is a bit higher than it should be. So I fix it. From here, I can also see that the arm is off, so I'll just remove it for now. And I'll focus instead on the arm that's closer to me. I draw a small circle for the shoulder and measure the angle that the arm should have. I transfer it and see where her hand is in relation to her head. Once you have your structure, you can move on to making assertive lines that will help you define the rhythm of your drawing. You can capture the rhythm in her other arm and measure where her hand should be in relation to her head. You can sketch the hand with a small circle and a few lines and mark where her features are. You can move on to more details, but keep your lines loose and fluid. You can also fill in the darker areas and find the shapes you see in the differences in value. These drawings should be fluid and feel almost like a doodle. The idea is to capture the essence and the movement. And make sure to move your arm back and forward between your reference image and your drawing a lot, checking and rechecking the angles before you move on to rendering. Because I was doing this, I noticed that the leg seems a bit off in relation to where her head is. So I see where the foot is in relation to the head and the hand. and I use the selection tool to move her leg to the right placement. You can continue to draw the gesture with quick and assertive lines, until you feel like you've captured the essence of the pose accurately. And you can do this with whatever reference image you want. Let's say you want to draw this little fella, and you want the emphasis of your drawing to be on all the curvy lines of his scrumptious little body. So you can decide to focus mainly on the rhythm and not so much on the structure. For this, you'll have to be able to see the structure in your mind before you start to draw the rhythm. This is something that you can build up to. So the first step for you to get there would be to use all of the tools that you've learned so far and draw the structure first. Once you have that, make a new layer on top and use the structure as a guide to draw the lines of the rhythm. The more times you do this, the easier it will be to tackle a drawing without having to draw the complete structure first. Thinking only about the rhythm is a bit harder, and it might take you some time to get to this point. But remember that with patience, practice, and dedication, you'll be able to draw anything you want. In this case, you can start with a line of action. Once you have that, you can draw quick lines to capture all the movement in the chest and the belly. Measure the angles in the beak and transfer them into your drawing. Continue measuring the angles and using quick loose lines. You can make a small circle for his head and keep on with the quick lines. Don't get hung up on the details. Just try to see where the rhythm takes you and capture it. To draw his flipper, you can measure where the flipper starts in relation to the eye. When you have that, draw a wavy line to capture the gesture. Remember to keep using your whole arm to make these lines, and not only your wrist. You want this drawing to be quick and interesting. So the main focus is on drawing quick and assertive lines to define your subject. These lines don't need to be perfect. It doesn't matter if they're a bit off. I feel like this also gives your drawing some extra personality. Allow yourself to step into your own artistic interpretation. Of course, take the time to use all of the tools you've learned, but when you're drawing the rhythm, it's always a good time to embrace the tiny mistakes. Remember to be kind to yourself during this learning process. You can continue by defining the shapes in the shadows and adding volume to your sketch. If I spend some time analyzing the drawing and comparing it to the reference, I can see that there are a few things that are off. I could decide to make the artistic decision of leaving them as they are. For instance, the flipper in the drawing isn't exactly the same as in the reference, but I like the movement of it. So I'll decide to leave it like this in my drawing. Another thing I notice is that the head is a bit more squared than it should be. But this I would like to fix, because a more rounded head will help me capture his cute handsomeness. So I go ahead and I fix that. So you can see that you're in control of your drawing. The important thing is to have the trained eyes that help you spot the differences and make the decision to either fix them or leave them as they are. It's your drawing, and you get to decide how it looks. You can decide to what extent you follow your reference and make artistic decisions. Drawing the rhythm is another great way to capture the movement in your sketch. When it comes to translating this movement into your final piece of art, you can either exaggerate the movement you drew to create a more cartoony look, or subtly maintain the rhythm that you capture in your sketch for a more realistic drawing that still has a lot of movement in it. With that in mind, it's your turn. Go to the worksheets on this video. Your assignment is to draw the rhythm on top of the reference image. You can start with the line of action, and then continue to draw quick lines to define the rhythm. Once you have that, it's time to do the same, but this time all by yourself in the blank square on the right of each reference image. Remember, you can use all the tools at your disposal to make these drawings. This is a good place to start finding your own way of using these tools. Keep in mind that drawing the rhythm can be a bit challenging. So if you find yourself struggling, don't hesitate to use all of the other tools to help you build your structure, and then on a new layer on top, use this structure to draw the rhythm. I recommend you also choose some other reference images of things you would like to draw and practice this more than just in the worksheets. You can use all of the tools you've learned so far to capture your sketch. You can also revisit your class drawing and see if capturing the rhythm makes it more interesting to you. I would love to see all the things you draw for this assignment, so make sure to share them in the Design Cuts Community Hub or in social media. During this course, you've learned different ways to build up the structure of your drawings, as well as different tools that can allow you a bit more artistic freedom. In the third level, you'll find a series of real-time drawings that will show you different ways of using these tools you've learned, and how I go about drawing my own references. I'm very excited to see you there. So when you're ready, we'll see each other in the third and final level of this course, where we put it all together.